Manhattan Community Board One. Did I read this? Yes. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the joint meeting of Land Use Committee and Environmental Protection Committee of Manhattan CP1. My name is Letta Portofori, and I serve as chair of the Land Use Committee. My co-chair, Patrick Tinell, is here as well.
Hey, everybody.
I'm also joined by Alice Blake, Chair of Environmental Protection Committee. Before we begin, a few quick reminders. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Please state your name and your affiliation. Public speakers will generally get 2 minutes, and we ask that everyone avoid repeating comments already made so we can hear from everyone. Tonight, we have 2 agenda items. Our first item is Independence Plaza Modification Project, commonly referred to as IPN. We should begin with IPN. The applicant was invited to attend tonight's meeting, but had a scheduling conflict and was unable to participate. The applicant is seeking a modification to the existing Independence Plaza large-scale residential development, LSRD, to facilitate a new residential development on the southern portion of the site, including 967 new dwelling units and a proposed tower reaching approximately 72 stories. This is not a ULURP application. The proposal has been filed as a non-ULURP modification to the existing LSRD and is currently undergoing environmental review by the Department of City Planning. On May 22nd, 2026, the department issued a positive declaration requiring preparation of a full environmental impact statement, commonly known as EIS. The purpose of this evening's discussion is to review the materials that have been publicly filed with the city and gather comments on the issues that should be studied as part of the environmental review process. We have reviewed the submitted material, and Martin Johannesson has prepared an overview of the proposal and the documents currently available on the Department of City Planning website. Martin?
Okay, great. Hi everyone, I'm Martine. I want to be clear that I am not a representative of the development. I am simply a consultant with Community Board One who has looked through the online public information and tried to pull up some of the key facts about the proposal. So in terms of like in-depth analysis of what the development is proposing to do, I'm actually not your guy. But I am trying to just put on the public record some of the high level information so everybody has a good job understanding what's going on and what's being proposed at this site. So just to start us off, so everyone feels oriented in MCB1, Independence Plaza, the area that we're talking about is this area in red here. It's really these 2 adjoining parcels, which we'll look at in a little bit. But again, in this northwest corner of Board One. We have talked about Independence Plaza a lot at MCB1, so why are we talking about it right now today? As Netta just mentioned briefly, it's particularly timely because just a few weeks ago on May 22nd, the New York City Department of City Planning released an environmental assessment statement, an EIS, with a positive declaration, basically meaning that this project, these proposals may significantly impact the environment. And what that did is then trigger a new stage of the city environmental quality review process, or SEQR. We're going to go through a lot of acronyms here today. A new stage of SEQR that will actually require an environmental impact statement. And the environmental impact statement is a much more thorough and rigorous analysis of those environmental impacts, not only on the natural environment, but also on the built environment and the overall quality of life for nearby residents and people who live and work, play, pray near this development site. The other element of the EIS is that it really does try and name mitigation strategies to address some of those impacts. So it's not only doing the analysis, but it's also trying to propose the mitigation strategies. And this is important because the EIS is currently in the public scoping phase for Independence Plaza. And this is a great opportunity for everyone here, other people who are online, who may become interested in the next couple weeks, to share your thoughts on the methodologies and the issues that are going to be addressed with the EIS. This is kind of a critical couple-week period where the Department of City Planning is seeking public feedback, and you all can share your thoughts through two main ways. Well, first, starting here, we're going to be hearing from everybody who's interested in sharing today. But also at a public scoping meeting, which has been scheduled for Thursday, June 25th from 2 to 5 p.m. That's an opportunity to share via public comment. That information will be posted on how to join on the Department of City Planning's calendar. They haven't posted it yet, or I would share it with you all now. Sorry that that's not yet available. But it will be linked in the publicly available documents that will be on our website for this, so you can all find that information. And then the other option is via written public comment. The deadline for that is on Monday, July 6th, and it's really supposed to be focused on the draft scope of work for this environmental impact statement, the EIS, and the email is listed here. I won't read it off because no one's going to remember that series of numbers and letters. But yeah, it will again be linked, and you can submit comments directly via that email address. We, just as a heads up, as Community Board 1, the Land Use Zoning and Economic Development Committee will be aiming to pass a resolution today, trying to capture all that's shared here, and will be submitted as written comment for the public record by that July 6th deadline. So that's why we're talking about Independence Plaza today. We'll ask them to save questions for later.
Yeah, let's check out with the opportunity.
No, not yet. We're just trying to make sure everybody has at least a high level understanding of what's going on. So just to orient people quickly, and I'll try and make it quick with this slide presentation. These are the parcels that we're talking about. As you can see, there's a 3A, a 3B, and a 3C, but the parcel in question where the development is being proposed is really on this 3C site. So this red dotted line area. You can see already on this map some open spaces that might be of interest, and we'll get into some other neighboring developments, historic districts, historic landmarks, parks that may be of interest to many of you here. I wanted to just talk through why, in many ways, this is not going through an extensive ULURP process, and Netta alluded to this at the beginning. They're not considered the major modifications that would activate a ULURP process because there have already been approvals to this large-scale residential development that were first approved back in 1971, and then more recently approved in 2018 for a series of approvals. So what they're seeking here is really just modifications to those existing proposals. Of course, the modifications we'll talk about are rather large scale and may not feel, as I've heard from folks in the room already, like minor modifications, but they don't trigger any sort of ULURP process because they're not violating the zoning regulations, the sort of zoning footprint for this particular area. It does, however, as we talked about, trigger a SEQR process, the City Environmental Quality Review process, which is why we're gathered here today. So just some high-level information. This is all captured in this chart, which you can see there are kind of a series of columns which hopefully help you orient through a lot of this pretty dense information. The existing column is what the development currently looks like. The permitted column is what's already been approved, and then the proposed is basically what they're asking for through this process. So when you look at these columns on the right in yellow, hopefully that's visually a little bit easier to see. The delta versus the existing is just what those changes will look like if the proposed modifications go through compared to this existing state of development. And then the delta versus permitted is what the change in the development site would look like compared to what's already been approved as part of these LSRD approvals. High level, there will be an addition of approximately 685,956 gross square feet of new construction added to parcel 3C. And that will primarily be in the form of 4 new buildings that will be added. There'll be one 1,090-foot tower, and then 3 smaller sort of podium type buildings around the tower that are 125 feet tall. Those buildings will be 85 feet along the street wall and then set back 225 feet, so they won't be just straight up. In terms of the increases in density and dwelling units on the site, there will be approximately 929 new dwelling units for a total of 1,391 on the site. There is some estimation currently going on around what percentage of those are affordable. The application estimates a maximum of 251 affordable units, and it's still TBD whether those will be located on the development site or off-site. So that is a big open question in the application. One other important thing to note is that there is an existing vacant community facility that's approximately 20,000 square feet that was proposed to be demolished as part of this modification process. There will also be redesigns to commercial space to activate streetscape and provide retail, which has already started to be added primarily to parcel 3A, I believe. Additionally, there will be decreases in the amount of square footage designated for parking, but the number of units will stay the same. There wasn't a ton of clarity in the application on exactly how that's going to happen, but the existing 232 unit parking spaces will remain just under a decreased square footage of parking space. Another area that was kind of unclear in the application, but exactly how much public open space would be impacted by the action is a little bit murky. They did mention that they would add 4,000 to 6,500 square feet of open space, but primarily as private rooftop open space for building residents. So an open question on exactly how public space will be impacted. And then final, just high level here, they do estimate a 48-month construction period beginning with demolition in 2027, and then construction beginning in 2028 and concluding in 2032. So looking over a multi-year horizon.
Board Chief, I just want to acknowledge that our assembly member Grace Lee has just stepped into the room, and that's really nice of you. I don't know if people come in now or after the presentation, but with time. I don't, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm
That's-
just,
Of course,
Yeah,
that's the
thank
end
you
of
for-
it.
thank you for community board for, hosting this meeting. I think it's really nice to see so many community members here who care about these developments that are being discussed tonight. And Fanny, from my office, is here also taking notes and is very attentive to these issues. I will have to leave a little early to go to another meeting, but I guess before I leave, all I want to say is go Knicks. Knicks and 4, right? That's it. But we'll be in, active dialogue with the community on all these issues. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Point of information.
yeah.
We're gonna call it questions.
Hang on, let's finish the presentation. We got more time going through and then we go through questions.
Thanks to you.
Okay, so I pulled some of the just publicly available documents from their application. I'll just there are 2 schemes that they proposed, Scheme A and Scheme B, which we'll look at shortly, but I just wanted to point people towards what they're calling the no action scenario, which is basically if they proceed with the approvals that have already gone through. And I just wanted to point out a few maybe areas of interest. This area up here is currently publicly accessible open space. It's on an elevated platform, so this area all in white. These steps lead you up and allow you to access this public space. I believe it's on top of a parking garage and it's landscaped currently, and that will be an area of change across the existing development and then some of the 2 schemes that we'll look at in a second. This is Washington Market over here. It's not super clearly denoted, but it is over there. West Side Highway is over here, and then Hudson River Park, and of course the Hudson River is off screen to the west there. The Harrison Street townhouses are right here, though they're not denoted on the map. And then the historic Tribeca West District is off here on the other side of Greenwich Street. So just wanted to flag a few of those key parts of the development area, even though they're not necessarily super clear here, but may come into our discussions as soon shortly. Okay, so looking at scheme A, we're really gonna just, because I'm not an architect and I'm not an expert on this development, I wanted to try and just show you the main changes that are being proposed across scheme A and scheme B. So if you look at them next to each other, this area right here is the proposed tower. So the height of the tower doesn't change at all across the two development proposals, but the shape of it does. So if we look at them side by side and you kind of just keep your eye on that, you can see that in scheme B, you have a more narrow rectangular shape that's, yeah, just more of a rectangle. And then again, in scheme A, it's more like a square type shape, not professional architectural terms, but square versus rectangle, one of which is much narrower. And as you can see, there are minor changes that happen to the rest of the buildings as a result of that. So this would be a little bit thicker in scheme B than you can see in scheme A. And just to be clear, these gray areas would be the new development buildings that would be the main elements of the modifications. As you'll note, there was an elevated platform through here that has seemed to go away, as far as we can tell. This is gonna theoretically, although again, you can be sure, be landscaped open space for the public, but again, it's not super clearly delineated on the proposal itself, so we're assuming it would be public, but again, would need clarification on that. And that access point through here has been eliminated, which kind of changes the way that you would walk through and experience the development. So you might be wondering what that looks like, the towers in more 3D vertical format. They did include some versions of that as well. So this is scheme A, that's the more square shape here. And then you can see it compared to scheme B, which is the narrower shape. I find that the most useful. Just to orient, these are there's some sweet townhouses over here. This would be where the West District is, West River over here. Yeah, Washington. Okay. And then seeing those two side by side, just scheme A versus scheme B, the main changes really are to the shape of the tower, though the height of it remains the same. And the units stay the same as well. Take a look. But again, just going back to why we are here today discussing Independence Plaza, these modifications have been in the works for a long time. And the reason we're here is really to talk about the EIS draft scope of work as defined by the secret process. So the EIS draft scope of work has already outlined 22 different areas. This isn't unique to this particular project, but the EIS has these 22 specific areas that anything that's subject to an EIS has to go and look at. They're pretty broad and pretty comprehensive as well. So things like open space, shadows, historic and cultural resources, all of these are already included in the EIS scope of work. However, if you had a chance to read through those documents, there may be areas of interest to you in terms of like expanding the definition of what is actually analyzed in each of those sections, or deepening the type of analysis, or maybe, improvements to methodologies that you might want to discuss here in this meeting that fall into one of these areas. I think that many of the concerns that I have heard about the project do fall into these 22 areas. Things like project description are also kind of a helpful catch-all when you're with what's going on even with this project, or I have found that at least. But I would encourage folks, as you're thinking through what your concerns are, to think about how they apply to these 22 specific areas, because DCP is really seeking specific feedback on how they can ensure the best and most thorough analysis in the EIS, which is then like an important public tool that can be used for advocacy or whatever you're hoping for this project later on. Of course, if there are things that don't fall within these 22 tasks, feel free to bring those up too, and we'll work with you, and with the community board to try and make sure that the proper resources or information get distributed. I know as a board, we've already been having some open questions on things just, yeah, basic to the project and requesting new information from DCP about it. So they might not explicitly be related to the EIS, but this can be a good place to bring those up as well. But again, in terms of strength of written public comment, the board's written public comment will try to tie as much as possible to these areas because it's a strong way to engage directly with this EIS process. Yeah, and with that, I think that's, final, don't forget. Even if you say what you want here, there are other opportunities to engage. You don't have to agree with everything that's in the MCD1 comment letter even. So you're welcome to submit public comments written to that email projected up on the board there. And again, you can join and do verbal public comment at the draft scoping meeting. I strongly encourage you to.
Okay.
So.
Let's start with public members and then we go to the committee members. Is that okay? Michael?
The public members.
Public, no, the members of the public.
Members of the public.
Yes, okay. So my name is Caroline Batista. I'm the owner of apartment 41.5. Many people may not know where it is, so I brought a map that I can draw, that I can show you. So 41.5 is the back basement unit of townhouse 41. So the only way to access it is, this is a fully enclosed courtyard. All of the easements that are here have restrictions on time for usage and security measures. There are also fences fully enclosing this courtyard that are protected by landmarks since 1976 when they were first built. So since the origin of this landmark structure, this apartment has existed, and the only way is now through what's being considered a development site, which touches the free wall and therefore fully encloses my family inside of the construction site. There will be no means of egress if development proceeds as planned for my family. I am speaking tonight because the grave danger this project poses to the safety of my family, my neighbors, and our properties. In order to allow these plans to proceed, Frederick Harris made misrepresentations to the court and Judge Perry Bond that he was an independent expert witness and claimed I have alternate means of egress. But he is currently Executive Vice President and Corporate Officer of Renato Realty Trust and thus not impartial at all, despite his claims to be an expert witness. He oversees the residential development pipeline, and this relationship was omitted from the one-page resume submitted to establish credibility to Judge Perry Bond. I do not and will not have an alternate means of access to and egress from my home if the project moves forward. I invite everyone here to inspect the rear yard of my home. Come have lemonade and be good neighbors. To find an enclosed courtyard with only one entrance through this proposed development site. Every private yard and easement inside this courtyard has reasonable hours and security restrictions for trespass and use. Not to mention fences in place and protected by landmarks. In fact, the owners were told they had to maintain them since the 1970s per regulations for the preservation and maintenance of 9 designated landmark houses on Harrison Street, adopted by the Landmarks Preservation Committee on November 23rd, 1976. Unless the city intervenes, we will be trapped inside of our home without any means of escaping in the event of an emergency. The city must intervene now. The city should be aware that the property title that Renato and Independence Plaza are using to develop this tower was encumbered by Elise Fondant under my name, asserting an easement necessary for residential access before Frederick Harris's impartial expert witness testimony. He was introduced by Pereno and Hassan, lawyers of Renato, as an expert witness. The judge cited him as an expert witness despite him being executive vice president and corporate officer of Renato. A fraud title obtained through possible fraud on the court should not be relied upon to eliminate residential access, violate an existing certificate of occupancy that has been the only certificate of occupancy since this landmark project was created in the 70s, or effectively enclose a family home and people inside of a construction site. This statement I made despite fear of personal attack and in fear of giving people positions outside my home daily
sitting in cars, watching my house. And I pray we make it for every woman who has ever been made to feel unsafe by a powerful man and hasn't been able to stand up for herself. Thank you for your consideration. Very hard to share all the bullying that everything that has happened in this
Thank you. Have you sent the written statement to us?
I will send you the written statement.
Perfect. Thank you. Do we have anyone else from the public?
Yeah, mine's just right. I'm a zoning and land use lawyer with the Latzer Law Group, and I represent the city here in this section. And so I would like to give a brief talk about my concern about the draft scope. I was
Great.
hired to review the draft scope of services.
You have 2 minutes, sir.
Okay, I have 2 minutes. I'll read quickly. Okay, the house, I represent three of the houses. Houses 41, 39, and 37 Heritage Street are part of a 9-house L-shaped cluster that fronts on Heritage Street. The 3 houses that are represented are directly adjacent to the proposed project are 3 types. Each house is a landmark. Structure for you, each house has its own landmark condition report. Ensuring the clear and obvious multiple adverse impacts that would have on this historical pressure, the draft scope report simply failed to give these houses the attention they deserve for the rules and regulations that govern the proceedings. The draft makes a single reference to these houses at 24-31 Heritage Street. That's it, nothing more than a mention of houses, issue reports, their historical achievements, their age, site plan, or anything else. There's no question that these historical houses would be significantly impacted by the project. They'll demolish buildings and excavate all sides of the houses, foundation on all sides, including one on 1,000 square feet tall building, all during the construction period of less than a year. That is legally possible for the EIS, but the FEIS, if you get the food, there are no environmental impacts on the historic house, never no mitigation measures are required. In fact, it remains to be determined if the environmental and adverse impacts can be mitigated, which brings the project into question. Therefore, the draft scope must recognize now, not later, that there's a significant landmark impact on a cluster of individual landmark houses that are encircled by this massive over 1 million square foot construction project. That mitigation measures will be required as the shadow impact, construction impact, historic and cultural resources, and neighborhood reasons, neighborhood character. The mitigation sections of the draft scope must be reviewed now to reference these potential impact. The draft scope must include, at a minimum, the individual landmark destination reports as exhibit, a summary of the landmark characteristics identified in the report, also site photos, a detailed site plan documenting physical relations between the houses and the project, a review of available historical documents, records detailing the house's place, and NYU's in NY City history. The information are all public records. This information must be referenced and detailed in the revised draft scope before the draft scope can proceed further. Basically, none of this information is there. They've not reviewed one bit of public data, which they're required in the school to do with the draft. So just to summarize, the draft is legally flawed. We pursue that. And the draft scope must also acknowledge that any damage to these historical resources, which is highly feasible during the 5-year, by the 10-year period, can only be repaired after being submitted to a landmarks preservation commission public approval process to ensure that the repairs comply with the historical quality of these houses, particularly since they are 20 years old. That is also ignored completely in the draft scope. The only landmark analysis in the draft scope is a reference to an LPC letter dated 2/24/26, alleging, I quote, the development site has no architectural resources. This is false. There are light and air easements located on the development site that are to the benefit of historical houses. These easements even appear on various draft scope site maps, albeit with no description within the draft scope. I was unable to locate the LPC letter, so I'm asking that I'm going to ask the developer. 71. Finally, the Landmark Preservation Commission must be included as an impacted agency and conduct a review of the proposed mitigation measures. The draft scope clearly states that any impacted agencies must be consulted. I am requesting the community board the following actions. Quickly, 1, reject the draft scope for failing to adequately recognize, document, and address these clear and obvious adverse impacts on this individual landmark that are direct result of the project. Require the draft scope be revised and resubmitted with a comprehensive analysis of these landmark impacts. Proposed mitigation measures. Right now, there's nothing. It requests that the revised draft scope acknowledge and evaluate the issue of these houses damaged during construction, when the builder will need to conduct a landmark preservation commission hearing to ensure the repair developer required to make a consistent with the definition report. Request the applicant to return to CB1, present a revised draft scope, which includes a comprehensive landmark analysis, and requests that the Landmark Preservation Commission take the role of an impacted agency and review all landmark mitigation measures as they are detailed in subsequent drafts of the scope of the work. Yeah, yes.
Thank you for that. We actually have reached out to city planning requesting some of the information for the scope that they were mentioning in the material that was on the side. We have not heard back from them yet. We will make it public once they respond to us and provide us more.
Okay, but the draft scope is required by law. Look at all public documents and go as far as they can. They can't do a traffic study. I mean, they can't do a shadow study analysis, but they have to go through everything, all these public documents about this landmark. And they just ignore it all. And in my opinion, that is terribly funny.
Can you share your document that you?
I sent it to,
Yeah, I have. Oh, we have.
in the recommendation.
Terrific.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
We have your name.
Christopher, it's on there, right, the last one. And she has my.
Perfect.
Please. Hi, my name is Stephanie Tillman, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the Community First Development Coalition, which is a Tribeca-based 501c3 that advocates for thoughtful development that respects the neighborhood scale, historical integrity, environment, quality of life, and the preservation and expansion of permanently affordable housing. By way of background, I myself am an attorney, I'm a Tribeca resident. But I think it's also important to note that I personally am not impacted by this development, but still feel very strongly about it. We had expected the developer to be here tonight and to answer questions from the community about the proposed redevelopment of Independence Plaza. We were disappointed and troubled that the developer has at the last minute decided not to appear. This is not a minor matter. The developer has filed plans for a project that would add more than 700,000 gross square feet of new construction, demolish existing homes, and build a over 1,000-foot tower on the site of former Mitchell-Lama affordable housing. The filings describe this as a non-reload modification for the Plaza large-scale residential development. But the reality is that this project would permanently transform the scale, character, and future of this entire part of Tribeca. If the developer is asking the city and this community to accept the tallest residential towers in New York City, the developer should be willing to sit in this room and answer questions from the community. Its absence tonight is especially concerning because the filings themselves give rise to serious questions. The filings say that the project would demolish 45 dwelling units. They say that the project may rely on affordable housing located elsewhere. They say that affordable housing has not yet been determined, could be provided on-site, off-site. They say that the Greenwich Street streetscape is somehow uninspiring and that the cure is to replace low-rise buildings with 85 to 125 foot street walls and insert a 1,000 foot tower behind them. That is not done. This community is being asked to accept an enormous project based on vague promises, incomplete disclosures, and an affordability story that does not withstand scrutiny. Independence Plaza was once a major source of affordable housing in Tribeca. Over time, that affordability has dwindled because of the choices of this developer. The developer now wants credit for potentially creating 251 affordable units, even though those affordable units may not be on site. And even though that number does not meaningfully account for the affordable housing that has already been lost because of the developer's choices. The application, the draft scope of work discloses that today in Independence Plaza, there are 0 affordable housing units. That is false. There are at least 100 Section 8 housing units alone, and we believe that there are more affordable units across the complex. And there would be even more than that if not for the actions of this developer. Developers should not be allowed to hide behind its filings and consultants, and it should have to come and answer those questions in the public. There are many questions, but I may not have time to read them all. But for example, we would like an accounting of the existing affordable housing today. We would like an accounting of the affordable housing as it existed when Vornado invested in the property. We would like an accounting of the total net number of affordable housing units that will be provided by this project, not counting the 0 that Vornado falsely disclosed as the current number. We would like to know how many affordable tenants were bought out in order to clear away for this project. We would like to know how many tenants were paid more than $1 million to leave their affordable housing units to be put for this project. We would like to know how much money was spent getting rid of those affordable housing tenants in order to make way for this project. We would also like to know in 2016, 251 new units that they plan to be providing. Where will those be? Will those be on-site or off-site? Will they be in Tribeca? Will any of them be in the 1,090-foot tower itself? What income bands will they serve? How long will the affordability last? We'd like to know their answer as to why this community should accept the demolition of existing homes in a formerly affordable housing complex in exchange for affordable units that make somewhere else. We'd also like to know how many market rate apartments will actually be added, because the number disclosed in these filings is only the absolute maximum that will be built. We believe it will be far less based on the average number of square feet that will be calculated on the per average on the gross square feet that are disclosed. We believe that the filings grossly overstate the number of apartments and represent that hundreds and hundreds of units would be created, when it may be somewhere closer to 150 to 200 if we look at other similar towers in the area. We'd like to know more about the impacts to the community. We want to know more about what Vornado had planned when it refused to renew the lease of the public school that sits exactly where this new tower is going to go. I would note that their application said that no studies were required for a loss of a school because they've already offered it. We would like to know what community space will be lost and why they do not believe that they need to provide any new community space. We would like to know what will happen to the senior center during construction. We've been told that they plan to remove the senior center during construction, even though they disclose that no community centers will be moved during this construction. We'd like to know if it will remain in Tribeca, and if it is going to leave Tribeca for the other. We'd like to know the developer's plans to protect residents with health conditions, especially those caused by Simpson after 9/11. And we would like to know whether the parking garage will have some portion of the parking spaces reserved for new tenants of what I'm sure will be ultra luxury on the tower.
Thanks, Stephanie. We have your written statement, right?
Thank you.
Just to clarify something, I am not sure if the developer committed to attending this meeting. What I gathered is that they had a conflict. We have offered them the executive meeting, and if they responded,
Yeah, represented by Betty Boyer and Steve consultants.
Just a note of curiosity, is there anyone from the development team or the management team of this project with the room or standing adjacent to the room? So there is no representation.
outside the room.
Oh, there is somebody online from the, who was that?
It's Julie, the representative.
She's been excited.
And I know,
They're just listening, they're not there to help us.
I just was.
okay, thank you.
And I think all the questions, we would like to know them as well. So my understanding from the scoping was that they are presenting the worst case scenario for environmental impact. That's why the number of units was really high. And you're probably right. They're probably going to provide less units, but the purpose of that huge number is to get the environmental impact.
Right, I think it's an affordability standpoint, though, that we can be transparent about it.
100%. All right, do we have anyone else?
Could we just try to keep to the 2-minute rule? I appreciate these statements, many of them were sent to the board, and we will definitely be recognizing them.
But as you can see, we don't have a full room, so I'm gonna sort of leave it.
Okay, 3 minutes. Go ahead, John.
I'm representing IPN.
Sorry, your name.
My name is John Scott. I'm representing IPN Senior Center. I am, what's the word? I'm not, a legal representative. I'm just, I was elected by the people in the senior center to do it. So as a representative, I'm not legally, but I was elected to speak from seniors people's support. And so we heard this situation before. The senior center is 50 feet from where all the construction is gonna be. Their first thing is they're gonna tear down these townhouses that were affordable at one point. And that's 50 feet from our seniors. So now, what do we have? We have senior centers that is gonna, be affected by noise and dust. And, you know, I've said this before and I'm gonna say it again. You know, us seniors, we built this community. I've been in Independence Plaza for 50 years. I've been on every committee. I have fought for every fight. And now the seniors are being pushed out of their house. Now they're being pushed out of their senior center. And I don't know how to put it down. You're saying, how do you put it down in the EIS, in the scope? This is where we ask the community board to help us. It's that, how do you put it in there that you're destroying seniors, that what's gonna happen is, you know, do I have to say it again? It's socialization. It's not only food. People are getting together. And what they're talking about, they're gonna destroy this center. So how do we put that in EIS? You're destroying a center. How do we do it? I don't know how to do it. I give it to you guys. All I can tell you is, us seniors, we built the community, and we're being pushed out of our homes. We're being pushed out of our senior center, and it is a vital thing for seniors. And it's only a small amount. It's not thousands, but these people that are there are the ones that built it. And I think we should respect the people that built this place. It wasn't Vermont. Vermont did not build this place. He got a sweetheart deal. What happened was, it was a Mitchell Armor. The state put money in it, the city put money in it, and then the federal government put money in it through a 236 program. And then there was a sweetheart deal, says, okay, they can to get out of the program. Okay, they got out of the program, but they're destroying affordable housing. And I would hope that the community board can help us to articulate this in the EIS, that you are destroying the senior center, you're killing seniors.
John, it will definitely be noted, there is a part of this that's called socioeconomic. Falls directly into that, and it's a really important point, which for sure.
Thank you. Do we have amounts?
Just to say, it's also not explicitly listed in community facilities and services. They're generally talking about schools, but I think that's a big oversight that senior centers
Yeah,
are.
that's my point. I can't articulate that. I expect the community board to articulate that for me. That you know it's there. You know, I've been on the community board and I've always promoted that, listen, it's there. And I hope you can really recognize it and put it out there.
Please.
Let me introduce myself, Lee Rossetti. I have lived in the neighborhood, maybe 48 years in Independence Plaza, when there was no grocery store and one restaurant. I have a question that I just like to say thank you, John, thank you all for listening. I work at the senior center, giving a class. And, you know, for years, I didn't even know it was there. I am so impressed with what they do. They feed 60 to 100 people, sometimes 150 people a day. They do programs, classes. It's a model. I mean, there are people from all over the neighborhood. It's a model for this city. And I think that this is really threatening to one of the great services that's provided in the neighborhood, not just in urban. So that's my first point, just inspired by. And I would like to say, my question has to do with the affordable units. I would like to say, I think that our neighborhood needs more transparency about this. And I'm wondering, I think in terms of you, city planning, since there's no ULURP process, there's no really any oversight here. I'd like to know, what is the neighborhood resource to ensure that the affordable units are actually in the buildings that are being constructed rather than dispersed throughout the neighborhood? And that would be in order to ensure that a mixed income building in sync with the rest of Independence Plaza and the spirit of the place.
Great, thank you. We will include that for sure in our resolution. Please.
My name is Diane Stein. I'm a resident of Independence Plaza. And I echoed the sentiments mentioned before, but my concern is, I don't know all the technical ins and outs, but my concern is about the environmental impact of, whether between pile driving, whether the ground will sustain what they need to do, and whether, and also above the ground, during the high wind, the flood zone, what if there's an accident or something, on the crane, something falls off the crane? This is, I think this is really dangerous and it can have a very bad effect on the environment. In addition to blocking the sunlight. I mean, there's probably things that I don't even know. I don't know if they have a structural engineer to see whether the ground can sustain this kind of digging into the ground to, the impact it's gonna make, in addition to all the dust and, debris and noise that's going to impact people's window. The people in 310 Greenwich are probably going to have the most impact, but my windows will be facing it. And, already had respiratory problems since 9/11. So, I'm just wondering, just the environmental impact of the project.
They are supposed to look at the whole project structurally. Well, they will. I'm sure there's a group of engineers both on part of the city and the applicant's team working on it, and we will review and we will include in our resolution the importance. Okay.
Okay, my understanding that is that the predicate for a large-scale general district is an urban renewal plan. And the Washington Market Urban Renewal Plan dates back to 1962.
Correct.
I don't know, I haven't physically seen it. But
We haven't either, and we have requested
but my
that.
understanding is that it expires in 40 years. So if you do the math, what happens?
40 years from today or 40 years?
40 years from 1962.
I think it's a good point that it was brought up in the application that there was, I saw that the renewal process was actually from 1971, so like the dates may be a little bit unclear in the application. But I think that you're right to know that it did seem to expire according to the application again. I haven't been able to locate the document yet. But there were some subsequent renewals or approvals that happened after that fact. There may have been like a lapsed time period. This is again speculative, but I think it's a good,
Yeah,
Which raised that it's
HPD generally has their renewal plans. And sometimes there are amendments too, which is I think what you're referring to.
Yeah.
But, if it expired, that would be of interest.
Oh, that would be great.
Anybody else on the committees or the protection of land use? Question response.
Yes. Good comment for sure. And it was already referred to here, which I'm glad to have heard. We all know that we need housing in the city, neighborhoods, and we all know that we need certainly affordable housing. And this project on its face looks like it's providing those two things, 950 units, 51 affordable units. However, that is not really the plan. And I think it's important for everyone to understand that that is not the plan. We don't know what the plan is. And I think our resolution has to very clearly specify that for us to even weigh in on what is happening here, we need to understand what it is they're actually planning to produce. The plan that they provided is what someone has already referred to as the reasonable worst case development scenario. It's for the purpose of identifying what things must do in the EIS. It is not the plan of what they're actually going to build. And we don't know what that is. We don't know if it's 70 some odd floors, maybe it's 70 condos. We have no idea. And so I think our first and most important thing is what are they planning to do in the building And then, of course, following that, and following the whatever number of units they are going to do, what is the affordable housing plan out of that? We certainly would love to see that those units in the building. Short of that, in Tribeca, because of everything we've lost. But we also, they have in the past, and I think even in the document, if I remember reading it correctly, they weren't even clear that they were going to be new units. They referenced that they might actually just preserve, quote, units that are already in existence that are affordable. If that's the case, that really doesn't do much for us.
So they're all great questions, but they're questions for the applicant. I mean,
Correct.
based on
I
the
think-
material, this is what we came up with, and we have included in the draft resolution
If all of that is in there, great.
clarification on the number of units, what's affordable, open space, what's happening to the community center, which, you know, it's not in the zoning calculations. We are gonna add the default zoning cal, but they should compare it to the plan that was approved. Because that is, it is not transparent. What was approved in, what was it, 1971,
1962.
1962?
So just one more point, rather detailed point in terms of the EIS. I think it was also referenced, wind. People talk about, I don't know if we have that in our,
There is a,
there is a thing that, okay, because it is a notorious law for wind, and this can only exacerbate that.
wind statute.
I mean, I'm a long time resident of, I've been too as well. I've raised children there. My thing is, I believe that if this does get approved and they do build something, it's kind of like a test. There's two plazas. So if they do get away with building this plaza, they're gonna build it in the other plaza too.
Actually, it's just plaza, I don't think they can't, it's built to that. It's just so,
Okay.
it's this plaza.
Sorry,
And
what's,
what is your name and what?
Jan, I'm with, Community First Development Coalition as well,
Okay.
but we like that one is, it's said that they built the maximum square footage for that plaza.
the max square footage to what?
Yeah, like what's allowed. on
What's
that
allowed
site.
based on zoning, which is C6.
Is So like they might have their sites on, for like the community college, for sure. But probably not specifically for Independence Plaza, that we're on North Street, like that one is probably like they won't, can't build on that anymore. They won't.
I mean, I think we have also included, whereas in the resolution that we should look at this, I think it's a master plan. We should look at it as a master plan.
Very-
We lots, whatever, parcels together. Okay, you can call on them and get 2 minutes.
We're gonna start with members of the public online, so Harriet, I will ask you to unmute and you'll have 2 minutes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, so my name is Harriet Grimm. I have been a resident of Independence Plaza since 1995. I have lived at both 40 Harrison Street on the 39th floor, as well as at 310 Greenwich Street on both the 20th floors facing south and the 33rd floor facing northwest. I will make comments before the July deadline on each of the tasks, but this evening I'd like to comment on 2 things that I consider to be highlighted, but I'd like to just mention. Living on the high floors, I can tell you that the wind pressures are tremendous. And I am concerned that the construction of even taller towers and additional buildings within the open space, and I do want to say open space because open space is very important when you're living in a high tower like that, but I'm concerned that it will create narrow canyon-like conditions which will increase wind speeds and create a low pressure system around the existing towers. These strong winds will affect both walking on the ground as well as anything on the building terraces of the existing buildings. I can tell you that small objects are easily sucked off of existing terraces, and then higher winds and lower air pressure systems around the existing towers are something that have to be studied. I don't know what task that falls under, and so I appreciate knowing, like, I'll just make these comments, and someone will have to figure out what task that is. That may be some other environmental condition. The other thing I will say, and this is concerning task 4, where the community facilities study is excluding fire protection. Just looking at these diagrams, I don't understand how the fire department will access some of these new structures. And in addition, I will tell you of my experience of having been in 3 fires and also Hurricane Sandy. When I have sheltered in place as instructed and which is appropriate for the fireproof building that 310 Greenwich Street is, I have stayed in my apartment where the fire department has checked in on me. And in an instance, at least the first fire experience, checked in on me because I was with an infant, my daughter. Many people have panicked and used the fire stairs, blocking the fire department's access to the 39th floor building, which 310 Greenwich and the other 2 towers are. Many people entering the fire stairs got stuck on lower floors and had to crowd into available apartments because they couldn't access the ground floor. I can't believe that there's a finding that fire protection does not have to be studied for
Thank you,
proposed
Harry.
tower. Thank you.
Thank you for doing both.
We will request a pedestrian comfort study for wind, and also we will make sure that we include language in our resolution for life safety issues that might come.
In addition to pedestrian, I would like for it to be studying the effects on the adjacent windows and what will happen to the windows, as well as to the use of terraces on the existing towers.
They will do a complete wind tunnel study.
They will do that for the existing building. I want to be sure that it also, for the proposed building, I'd like to be sure it studies the existing adjacent buildings. And this will certainly affect those historic buildings and their rooftops. Thank you.
Correct. Thank you for that. Diane Lapson, you'll be up next. I'll request you to unmute. And you will have 2 minutes.
Diane?
Are you able to unmute?
Is everybody else versus time?
Yeah, it's true.
No, that's it.
No, that's good. Okay.
All right, Diane, if you do come back on, feel free to just put your hand up again and you can make sure you're on. I saw, Laura, did you have your hand up earlier? Are you still?
I did have it up. Yeah, no, I did have it up earlier. One thing I don't understand is how they can, so to build the tower, they have to put the foundations through the parking garage. Is that correct? Like, how is this thing supported? Do we know that?
We do not.
I mean, I think, it seems to me like they're going to have to destroy all these layers of the parking garage to get the foundations. What's that?
It is unclear, it's unclear, Laura, to me, if they're keeping the parking garage as is or they're relocating it. What I read in one of the documents was that the entrance is right now from Greenwich, they're relocating it to Harrison. And that to me signals that they are going to probably demolish the parking and relocate some of this.
I think
But
they
again,
have to. Right, I think they have to, because otherwise they won't be able to get an adequate foundation for such a tall tower. So there's that. And I wanted to second what Harriet said about the wind, which already, like the corner of Greenwich and Duane Street, is it's windier than Hudson River Park. You know, it's like one of the windiest, except for the Battery, I think it's the windiest part of Lower Manhattan that I've experienced. So the tall building will very likely exacerbate that. And then I'm wondering, like, do we have any leverage to get them to rebuild the senior center and somehow mitigate the open space that they're taking away, like by
So
helping
in
to
the
enhance
draft
other open spaces or, yeah.
So in the draft resolution that Martin circulated, we have, we are asking them to keep the community center and preserve the 6,000 or whatever square foot open space that is currently public as public.
Mhm. But they don't have to, I mean, either of those they could replace in some way that might be an improvement. Like that open space is up all those stairs. So it's not exactly accessible to most of the public and there's not much up there. And then the senior center, like maybe there's a way they could incorporate it into their new building. Like I'm just wondering, if there's a way to negotiate for even an improvement in those
For a
things.
better public area and better community center.
Well,
Sure.
if they're going to destroy them, then yes. I mean, I think that when you add this many residents to a neighborhood, and this is happening all through FIDI with the residential conversions, because there wasn't this like massive rezoning like the Midtown rezoning, East Midtown rezoning, we don't really have a mechanism for capturing other benefits for the community. And so I just want to put that on the table, like if we could somehow come up with something, because already Hudson River Park is impassable on a nice day, and now adding even more residents, like that's the park, right? And they're taking away open space. So I do feel that the community, as a community board, like we need to start pushing for somehow, I don't know what the mechanism is, but to get the kind of residential infrastructure in the public realm that we need to support a growing population.
Yeah, I agree. I think for the purpose of tonight and this resolution, we're really gonna look, point is totally taken and it's been addressed and talked about before, and it will be talked about a lot more. And I think we should be quite specific with what those asks might be when this becomes more of a reality, yeah. But for now, I'm looking, remember, to ask what else should be scoped here, what is missing from the scope that we really want to have reviewed. So I think that's step one, we should write a complete down. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you.
I want to call the question.
Well, we haven't,
I mean, you asked me.
well, we haven't.
No, that's a joke, but I think it sounds like we're winding down and make sure everybody's spoken, and then I think we should move on to the next topic.
Okay, so we have.
Ask my opinion. Did we?
We have a resolution in front of you of the committee members of both committees, I think. And we could pull it up. We will, of course, be adding in a lot of the points that have been raised tonight. So those that aren't in there, will be many are already. So I assume the community board members, this is just for you all, look that over and with the understanding of adding in what tonight. There's overall aspects that we're not covered yet here, they will be covered. And other things that we might have to change or amend, that's what you're doing.
We were gonna do that, getting all those things in now. Yeah.
All those things we can go over by just, right? Which was we are going to ask them, and there is in there for this scoping to clarify the scoping of this strategy. Yeah.
Which scoping, by we
Of the
should mean
project.
what we're.
Right, we're going to ask
And
them
what
all
is
the
the basis?
outstanding questions that deal with scoping specifically to letters are addressed. That would be one. In this thing that we don't have, okay, we have that. So we're going to have the questions that scoping this, submitting information to the community first. That's a letter, thank you for your letters, that would be added. They're not questions that are about things that they can't answer or are not germane to scoping, but to those that are, so that would be one add. The quality of life concerns that also would be going into, to senior center point to where that community center, so is going to go. the 50 feet from demolition, all of that would be added. I'm not sure we do have that. The landmarking provision, I think we have that in historical book resources. I think we might have that, but if not, we can amplify that, and the conceptuality aspects hugely important, and we all be looking at that. We have it carefully. We have
Townhouse, go back.
the townhouse, we actually requested the deed information.
We requested for the air right easements, pedestrian easements, light easements that are in and around the townhouses,
That would include 41 Main.
all of them.
You had the home inside the construction site on it? I remember that much.
Home in the construction, oh,
My instance is inside the development.
and the floor.
We could include.
Keep that in.
It's for construction.
Yeah, try to say it's still right.
17 is.
Yeah, you can include that as
It's for a property area. That could go there.
I think we have it on the socioeconomic, a lot on affordability, or we have.
It's not
Really critical. Okay, well, that's what I think she's addressed, but I'm not, we kind of, we give that up.
Oh,
Yeah, Alice was talking about general conversation about it. I'm speaking for on construction impacts. 17. And so I'm sure I'm putting that there.
it's 49.
Yeah, 41 and a half, but yeah.
Stuff, so when it comes to best for myself, so that.
Which I'm going to go straight now. No, he's typing it down.
Oh, yeah, that was my.
Okay.
Also that.
Yeah, Richard,
Yes.
The master plan, the scoping, in the first one, we have also sent an email to the city planning requesting the
And I actually got from the CDRC to the CFRC.
I don't know, we have the fire protection information.
Yeah.
That's important. That's like the,
People, fire.
um,
Yeah, not, before.
That would be
But this one be here,
under hazardous materials. So we would add that under hazardous materials.
Like also, construction was not, yeah, construction.
they've had. Accepted to all the things. So,
The enclosure. Yeah, that'll be under 17. I just haven't made those live updates yet, but I will be including those. Do you very much. Members.
For the committee members, are we ready?
can I have you quiet in the room, just, yeah.
Everybody, thank you.
It was called to question a little earlier.
Are we looking at requests for the senior center that it be relocated during the construction period and then that be rehoused in a new development?
Part of the scoping. Yeah, so I think it's something we should definitely address, but I don't know that it's in addition to scoping or how it's being
It could be requesting a conversation with representatives of the senior center to figure out what the next path forward is, rather than making that decision.
That's part of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they have senior center.
Okay.
And, yeah.
So I call the question. I hear none, but second,
Second. I'll call this question. You said you put it. I'll second.
all in-
This name, yeah.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. This resolution, subject, including the discussed Yeah, bring them to
Yeah.
Is that just?
Have more.
Goodbye. Come on, guys.
Do we have this everyone on?
Voting's got their.
Great. All right, second round then, 100 Gold Street.
Yes.
Thank you.
Richard everywhere.
Everyone who's in the room are voted. Are you guys all yes?
Yes.
I have a question.
If the perspective
And of us who will hear like that and
Yes.
that's.
Part of the, we have no community statement.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the question.
The question is that if we have a committee who are part of the.
Yeah, okay.
Can they vote?
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
No,
I assume you're not financially interested in it, right? So it's a nonprofit. I think you're good.
And just to say, if you need public comment from the police data that you want to send me, that you haven't already sent me, I do have those. Well, I wrote this, but it's martine@mcb1.mic. I'll just try. But you can send it to the community board one. Where's that? Yeah, okay, great. Or did I send it to all? Yeah.
Item 2 on the agenda, 100 Gold Street. So yes, we are done.
That the IPN is over, that's been approved unanimously. It sounds like to thank everyone on that. And who have had this committee. Right. Thank you for coming, commenting, announcing us.
Hundred Gold is a city-owned property currently occupied by HG. The city has selected a development team to redevelop the site as a mixed-use project that is expected to include housing along with community and neighborhood serving programs. Tonight's presentation is intended to introduce the project team and provide an overview of the proposal and the process. Moving forward, Ryan, are you presenting?
I'm gonna start actually. And may I ask if we could, if the presenters can join you at the table? Ones that are.
Yes.
Yeah, right over here, this is your best bet.
Stacy, Diana Spiegler, the BBC.
So Diana, you want to introduce yourself? Diana was Martine's position years ago on Community Board West.
Yes. First, thank you for having us here tonight. I know it's already been a bit of a gauntlet for you all. We appreciate you making the time, no matter how many hours I've spent in this room. It is always great to come back and see all of you. For those that don't know me, my name is Diana Sweetie. Formerly worked here at the Community Board as land use director for about 10 years. Now a vice president in EDC's Government and Community Relations Division. And we are here this evening to present on the 100 Gold Street project. This is a city-owned site in Lower Manhattan that we are working on advancing a proposal that's centered on housing, open space, community facilities and amenities. So we're going to start, and I'm going to start from the city's perspective and just sharing a little bit of project context, where we have been, where we are now. Many of you participated or followed along in earlier stages of engagement prior to the RFP release. So want to share a little bit of kind of the project origin story, and then we'll give time for GFP to introduce themselves and bring folks along on where we are now and where we're going next. Will you assist me, Martine? Thank you. It's the bottom is a little cut off. If you can adjust that. So to start with, all of the players in the mix here and the project partners, this is a city-led project with a number of public and private partners. The deputy mayor's office is the lead. EDC is managing the project on behalf of the city. HPD is overseeing housing commitments and the future affordable housing program. GFP Real Estate was selected through a competitive RFP process to lead development. They are supported by a team of experienced land use, environmental, and design consultants. We're also coordinating closely with New York City Aging on a new older adult center. Hamilton Madison House is the operators of that older adult center, as well as DCAS on agency relocation needs. And of course, community engagement has been a through line through this process. The local community, this community board, elected officials have been and will continue to be a core component of what goes into this project as we move forward. Next slide, please. 100 Gold as it is today, many of you are familiar with it. It is an office building occupied by a range of city agencies. The building itself is aging. It's nearing the end of its useful life as an office facility, and that really offers an opportunity to rethink the site and how it can better serve both city needs and the surrounding community. Next slide. So the site as it sits in context, this is a key site in Lower Manhattan. It really sits at the nexus of a couple of key areas: the financial district, the South Street Seaport, the Civic Center, and Chinatown. You can see it here in between Southbridge Towers and the Brooklyn Bridge. There are some nearby institutions: New York Presbyterian Hospital, Pace University. As I mentioned today, the building is occupied by a range of city agencies like HPD, the Housing Preservation Department, the Mayor's Office, Department of Education, Department of Citywide Administrative Services, and others. And as part of this project, the city is planning for the relocation of those agencies into modern, more efficient spaces. And just want to note, we recognize how important the continuity of services is, and we are coordinating closely with all of those agencies to minimize disruption over this transition. So in context of this project and in the context of the historic housing crisis, this project is really rooted in a clear need for housing and specifically new permanently affordable housing in Lower Manhattan. Rents in this district significantly exceed Manhattan averages. The relatively few new units, affordable units, have been produced locally in recent years. The city has prioritized the use of underutilized city space in cases like this, where we can deliver housing while also delivering community benefits alongside that. And 100 Gold represents an opportunity to contribute meaningfully to that goal while also delivering on community benefits and amenities. And want to point out that the project was highlighted in the mayor's recent block by block housing report. And really highlighted as an opportunity, as a transformative opportunity to do just that, and to take an underutilized city site and really deliver on housing and affordable housing while also delivering on community benefits and improving the neighborhood for folks around it without relying on public subsidy, which is a really important component of this project. Next slide. So through an RFP process and based on everything that I mentioned, the city established a vision for the site that's really centered on housing, open space, and modern public facilities and amenities. The selected proposal reflects that vision, and this includes a significant number of new homes with a substantial permanently affordable component, new and improved public open space on site, relocation of city agencies into updated facilities, a new purpose-built older adult center, and additional amenities intended to serve the neighborhood. And these elements continue to guide our work as the project moves forward, and again, without reliance on public subsidy. Next slide. So community engagement has really been foundational to this process from the outset. And prior to the release of the RFP, the city conducted a number of public workshops and stakeholder briefings, and we issued a widely distributed community survey to gather input before the RFP release. We heard clearly that priorities include affordable housing, new community services, public space improvements, and a thoughtful approach to site design. And a report on all of the feedback that was gathered in these early stages was attached to the RFP itself. And it really informed the RFP process as a whole and continues to inform this project as we go forward. I will note we are early in an ongoing and what will be a long process. You'll hear more from GFP and their team about the commitment to community engagement as we move forward. And in December, GFP Real Estate was selected as the developer through this competitive RFP process. We're really excited to be working with them. They have a proven track record, specifically in Lower Manhattan. They have a clear understanding of what the city is trying to achieve here, both in terms of project delivery and community engagement. They've been a great and collaborative partner. We look forward to moving along with them and with you all here. And with that, I will turn it over to Ryan from GFP.
Okay. Thank you. Gotta bring you home so you can tell my children all. So I'm Brian Sunwurzel. For those that haven't met, I'm the co-CEO of GFP Real Estate and the CEO of GFP Development. GFP is the real estate arm of the Doral family. It was a company started by my grandfather. So I'm third generation. We're fortunate that we have fourth generation working in the business as well. We are an owner, operator, property manager, and developer in the tri-state region. We have 600 plus employees. 55% are part of a diverse workforce, and 47% are companies owned by women, including my mom, to make sure I do a good job every day. So we own roughly 14 million square feet in the city. We manage another 4 million square feet for our partners. We have, I think we're the largest landlord to small and medium-sized businesses in New York City. So we have over 2,500 companies in our portfolio, and approximately 2/3 of them are, so it should be actually the other way around. Less than 1/3 of them are not-for-profits and 2/3 are for-profits. Next slide. So we are proudly leading the effort to build housing and affordable housing in Lower Manhattan. In fact, on one of Diana's slides, of the 536 affordable housing units delivered in the recent history, 330 were delivered by GFP. We have another approximately 300 that are under construction, not including this project that we're talking about. And we've become one of the leaders, especially in this area, of converting office buildings to residential. You see 3 projects that are up on the screen. One of them is 25 Water, which is the nation's largest residential conversion that has over 1,300 units, and that's where 330 affordable housing units were built. 222 Broadway recently came online and will have almost 200 affordable housing units. And 40 Exchange just started construction this year and will have approximately 100 housing units when completed next year. Next slide, please. So we have been working in this area for quite some time, and we've partnered with many organizations. A lot of them are listed on that screen, whether they are tenants of ours or partners or groups that we do work with. We like to engage in the community, and we plan to spend as much time as anyone wants to spend with us, doing all these different things. In fact, probably a lot of you have engaged with us in a lot of these different programs. Next slide. So we are thrilled to have been selected by the city to build the new 100 Gold project. We believe we were selected because of our thoughtfulness and our approach. because of the fact that we do listen to community feedback and the fact that we are going to incorporate all of that feedback into our design and our project. Over the last year, our team has met and continues to meet with a lot of the stakeholders in the area to gather this feedback. And that those meetings include and will continue to include members of Southbridge Towers, Gotham Park, and a lot of the other organizations that you see on the screen. I don't want to read each of them. So the goal for me and for us is to listen, incorporate the design, and come up with a program that I think the community and hopefully our future tenants will be proud of. Next slide, please. So that being said, and I think if you've heard me talk at one of your community meetings or stakeholder meetings, you'll know that it is early. We're roughly 12 months away from filing our ULURP. And I know that you all, including myself, wants to know exactly what we're going to build when we finally finish our design. But this is the part of the process where we're really in the listening mode. And I can tell you that each piece of feedback that we've received has gone into a conversation that is influencing the design that we are building. And so we are happy to listen to that comment and we want to continue to hear it. So please do provide it to us. We know that this is important to the entire community board district. We will continue to work on these elements. And when we do have renderings that we feel confident that will be what we will build, we will be happy to show them to each one of you and to listen to even more feedback after that. So the team, a lot of which we brought our team here because we want them to hear directly from you, is sensitive to this design, the massing, preserving views, light and air, and limiting the shadow effects on our neighbors. We are here to create 3,700 new homes. 25% will be affordable, which is over 900 permanently affordable housing units. Following, for those of you that are aware of it, the MIH guidelines. We are also providing an additional 40,000 square feet of public realm improvements, which includes 25,000 square feet of publicly accessible open space and also expanded sidewalks. If you are not aware, the site is roughly 90,000 square feet. So a very significant portion of the site is dedicated to this 40,000 square feet. Part of the proceeds that we will use our own money is to relocate the agencies from this building into a new location. We plan to eliminate any need or plan for parking to be in the project, which is something that we've heard from our neighbors over and over again. And we will be building a purpose-built older adult center. So basically Hamilton Madison House and the Department of Aging have a facility that is in 100 Gold. And we will be relocating them out of 100 Gold and then rebuilding a facility within the new 100 Gold for Hamilton Madison House and the Department of Aging. Also inside of the new project will be an approximately 40,000 square foot recreation center that will include significant community programming. We plan to partner with a local operator for that project, and we are in the process of interviewing several operators in the community and in the city that do a great job at these kinds of projects. When we build the project, we will follow the 485X wage and job creation standards, whose goal is to have 25% of the project be awarded to minority and women-owned businesses, at least 25%. One other thing, and if you have an opportunity to see 25 Water, we've been successful about incorporating off-street and closed loading and trafficking within the building. So we do not want to have garbage bags and recycling all over the street. We've been successful in other projects at achieving that goal, which is not easy on large scale developments. I'm going to take just a second because I don't want Tony to be limited to 2 minutes. We invited folks from Hamilton Madison House. Tony's on the board. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what we're doing together.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Tony Giorgio. I am proud to be board chair for Hamilton Madison House. Been on the board 25 years. Hamilton Madison House, for those of you who don't know, is a settlement house. Lower East Side predominantly. We've been in existence since 1898. Back then, we provided social services to immigrant families coming through Ellis Island, the Lower families settling in the Lower East Side. With respect to our senior population, which is the subject of tonight's meeting, we've had a senior population program for 75 years. We actually started in 1951. We serve today collectively over 5,500 seniors, most of whom are at 100 Gold Street. At Gold Street, it's a great place for seniors to gather. I heard in the earlier first agenda item. People can come and socialize and interact, and it does that 100%. We provide a free breakfast and lunch. We tell them if they want to donate $1 for breakfast, we'll take it gladly, but for the most part, it's free. We provide a variety of different activities for our seniors, including art classes, fully free, computer skills, music and chorus, English as a second language. We play mahjong, we have tournaments, we play ping pong, we have tournaments, and we provide a variety of counseling services in the areas of healthcare, helping seniors navigate through, Medicare, Medicaid is not easy. Finances, and in fact, we've conducted citizenship classes over the years, which is something that when I first experienced it, having been blessed, being born and raised in New York City, take our citizenship for granted sometimes. And what we did was, as the graduates finished their program and were awarded their citizenship certificate, we had each one of them up to speed what it means to become a senior, become a citizen of this country. And I have to tell you, it's a very humbling experience to be personal. I'll never forget it. And we continue to provide that for those that are interested or need. Our staff is extremely professional, very caring, and we create a very warm environment, safe environment with an abundance of understanding and consideration and patience. I'm very proud of our services over the years and our staff. With respect to Gold Street, last time we made a major change like this in our senior program was in 2002, when we actually moved our first senior program, which we referred to as the Golden Age program, out of Hamilton Street into 100 Gold Street, referred to most recently as our City Hall Center. Some people are nervous, skeptical of change, others embrace it. I'm a firm believer with change comes opportunity. It was important, it was a great opportunity for HMH to expand and improve our level of service by moving into a modern facility at the time in 2002. Unfortunately, or fortunately, modern doesn't last too long. As you see some of the pictures. We're excited about our next chapter in our new modern facility, and we embrace this opportunity as a positive step forward. As far as working with the team that's been assembled, we couldn't be happier. Excited about working with the mayor's office, CDC, Department of Aging, our local officials. We're particularly excited about working with the GFP Real Estate. I think that was a great choice. And particularly Brian and his staff, tonight. We've had numerous meetings, and from our very first meeting, with GFP, we immediately felt the sincerity and caring for the work that we do. This continued as they showed us multiple options on relocation spaces, as we toured them together, constantly asking us questions. What do we need? How does this look? What do you think? What would you like to have? What don't you have now that make the programs more effective? That type of interaction and dialogue exchange was ongoing and it was very refreshing, very welcoming. They've created a very comfortable working environment, and they've shown a genuine interest and a concern for our needs. They understand what it takes also to give back for many of their nonprofit experiences in their dealings. And one of the biggest challenges, to move at Bow Street, one of our requests to try to relocate somewhere in that proximity, right? And in a matter of weeks, they came up with 3 locations right on Park Road, which is a block from Mill Street, which actually has better transportation, which we're looking at and evaluating now, but it's just an indication, like, we were, wow, this is great. They listened to us, and not listen to us, the responsiveness was so quick. So,
Thank you for that. And it seems like it has been a great collaboration and we're glad to
Yeah.
hear that.
yeah, we're ready to do whatever we have to do, because we understand the housing aspect and so.
Fantastic.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Great. Brian, are you?
Yeah, so we have just a few more slides, and then we'll get to questions if it's okay. Thanks, Tony. So I'm Teresa Genovese, who's a partner at Tetra Ruddy, who's working on this design. Talk a little bit about what we're spending our time on right now.
Hi, everybody. If you don't know, my name is Teresa Genovese. I am a partner here also with my partner Eugene Slaughter from Tetra Ruddy Architecture. And the one thing I will say about our firm, from the very beginning, the founding principles, housing is our DNA. We do all sorts of housing. We're known globally for our housing. We have over 35 years of experience, and we don't just look at it as a forum. We're thinking about it from the occupant's perspective and how you create community. And that's why our portfolio looks so different from each other. All our projects are about thinking about the site, the context, and the surrounding community. And we're known for not just designing, but building the buildings that we design in the New York City area, and also known for our expertise in getting approvals with all the agencies. We're also coupled with, and if you go to the next slide, we're working with field operations. We're really excited about that partnership with them. They're a leading global practice, over 27 years in the business, and very important about, they think about community-driven spaces, the public realm focus. And they also, like us, design and get their projects built and constructed. If you go to the next slide. Just to reiterate a little bit about what Brian had already talked about, the importance of the housing, connecting to the community, enhancing the open space, and also we're thinking about how to advance the sustainability component. We're really thinking about and taking all the information that Brian and everyone has gathered, and we look forward to participating in those meetings as well, and how we celebrate this city and the waterfront in the neighborhood, and how to accommodate the needs of what the neighborhood is saying that they want for the housing, and how within the building, not just outside of the building, within the building, how you create and develop the sense of community. Also, the connection to the outside, where, as it's been stated here, I won't belabor this, but we're really excited about finding places for this adult center, and how also the base will engage the human scale within the neighborhood. And then again, also how we bring in the program elements of the fitness. And then open space is something that we've been thinking about for a while, and listening to all the feedback. And how do you create something that's welcoming, green, and that creates these active pathways that are so important to stitch together the community? You can go to the next slide. So just wanted to restate it. It's important to talk a little bit about the site metrics, because that's really what's driving the need for density in this particular project, and also in order to meet the RFP goals. To be precise, I know Brian said a little bit over 90, but it's 86,500 square feet, according to the information that we have right now. And it's going to include, as we said, 40,000 new square feet of open space, approximately 25,000 of which will be contiguous space that we're really excited about, because we can think meaningfully about what to do there. Also, approximately 15,000 square feet of public realm improvements, which he had mentioned, which would be sidewalks and other types of landscaped environments. And then again, an important component of the RFP was the over 3,700 new homes with about 900 permanently affordable. This particular, these particular components creates the density model, which would present as a large structure, but we're in an area of Lower Manhattan that has this appropriate context for high structures. It's important, we don't take it for granted that we are right across the street from a very iconic building, being the one that we're in, but also the Brooklyn Bridge. It doesn't go without saying, Brooklyn Bridge is very important neighbor, and we're very honored to
I think now I got it. No.
Joe. Joe. Excuse me.
So you did it. Remember that one.
You did. You did. Yeah, somebody did something. I just. We just,
We don't know the magic, but we're not questioning it. This is
Anything we're contributing to this is your situation.
I don't know if you're following. I'm kidding. Empathy online, you're asked, yeah. I get a thumbs up from somebody. Just before we continue.
Apples are loud.
Laura.
Okay, getting thumbs up, thank you. Sorry about that, we got disconnected, but we're back. And I will continue to share my screen. Okay. You're on.
So I'm not going to belabor this because I think a lot of the items were discussed, but I was talking about how we view the site from the very beginning as a link and an anchor from sort of bringing the housing to the area and stitching together all the various neighborhoods that are surrounding us. We could go to the next slide. And then the other just component that I want to underscore is how we're thinking about the programmatic elements. A variety of the amenities at 100 Gold will function as a neighborhood destination for not only the building residents, but for also the members of the diverse local community. We talked about the dynamic fitness center that's going to be operated by an experienced third-party organization. We're committed to programming that in, and also an exciting component is we're looking to activate the outdoor spaces with programming that could be for all ages, such as farmers market, dog runs, youth programs, art fairs, and other kinds of installations. So much more, and we're really excited. This is just the beginning. We're listening as well, and we'd love to hear your comments as we go through this exciting process with GSP. So I'm going to bring it back to Brian.
Great. So I think we have just 2 more slides. Thank you for your time and patience. So the environmental review process, there's some summary on the screen. I think that the prior presentation did a really good job of outlining all of the components of it. But I think the important part for you all to understand is that the results of the secret process are publicly accessible, and we're excited to those shared with you once it's complete. Next slide. And then once we get through that process, and like I said, which is approximately a year from now, we will enter into the ULURP, and on the screen is the ULURP timeline, for which we'll move back to you during these processes, and you'll have another chance to review and actually discuss the actual plans that we'll be submitting at that time.
Great.
So that concludes
Thank you. Thank you. I have a question. I don't know if it's for BBC. Did you guys specify a program when the RFQ went out? I don't recall seeing an AMI band or total number of units was 1,000. This is significantly more. I just want to know if you guys have specified or you have a target in mind.
Yeah, I'm actually going to have it by colleague John, who's from our real estate division. Can you speak a little bit more about the RFP process to lead to the housing?
Sure. So this RFP, like for all of our RFPs, we have competitive procurement to obtain a best deal for the city. And so it's important for us that we got a response to that. We had initially asked for different scenarios for people to propose, and we ended those against each other as a bunch of people, understanding that affordable housing was such an important element of the community that they were looking for, and that's to see a large, so ultimately about this presentation, this partner, JP.
Are you targeting an average unit size?
I think it's too early really for us to talk about.
3,700 units is a lot of units. In comparison, the project that we reviewed before this was 1,392, and the tower was 1,080 feet tall. So when you say 3,700, to me says, okay, it's probably 1 multi-towers, 2 micro units. So I don't think that's like that's not something that you guys can answer.
We don't have to decide to present this time, so that certainly will be constrained throughout the process, but there are.
So your architect has designed 3,700.
For EDC Diana, so I don't know.
It should be basis of a design of a development. That how big our units are. You can't do anything if you don't know what size of units should be. Are they family size units?
So let me try to answer in the broadest way I can that still tries to answer your question. So our response, we say that we will follow the 485X program and mandatory inclusionary housing, which is very prescriptive rules on housing sizes, especially in comparison to market to affordable ratios. There will be a broad variety of housing units that will be studios, 1s, 2s, 3s. So we're not planning on a building of just micro units. There's a broad array of mixes for the tower. What we want to be successful, in order for us to be successful, we need to provide housing units that a lot of people want to live in. So we are working very hard to design a building that will be successful.
I completely agree, and I don't think the community is, at least, I mean, at this stage, I'm not looking for a nice rent.
Sure.
It's just an overall population and what is gonna happen in the next.
Yeah, I think if you look at our current projects and past projects, you'll see a wide mix of business. And I think that we are just iterating forward on what we've done in the past.
My question, I guess, is to EDC. Have you begun, I've just done on the napkin, numbers, it looks like there's about 150,000 square feet of other agencies and about 350 of HPD. Have you started to empty the building of the other agencies? My first question. My second question is just, do I assume that the money that the city is getting from GFP will be maximized? We're not spending money on relocating city agencies to empty spaces, the municipality or anything else.
I'm going to start to answer that, and we also have our colleagues at TCAS here who are managing the relocation. So if I miss anything, please jump in. But as where do I start? So the agencies aren't being relocated anytime soon, and they cannot be relocated until we complete ULURP. And then there's a period of time where they will stay there under a restart period while new space is found and fitted out for them. So they're staying there for some time. And you're right in that part of the in the sale price, the sale proceeds of this project go to a number of things. One of them is relocation of the city agencies. It also goes towards supporting the affordable housing component, the public space, the other amenities and public realms. So that's all part of kind of the puzzle here.
And then my only other question is, are you aware that Chelsea Piers is going into 250 water, still doing 40,000 square feet of fitness?
I think I would describe it more as a recreation facility with fitness component to it.
Because
That's
between
our
indoors and outdoor recreation between Calvary Park, in the East River waterfront, presumably park. The idea is to coordinate everything, which would be part of what you're talking.
I think that, so the Chelsea Piers folks have done tremendous work throughout the city. They have a new location that will be opening, I believe in the next year, another building of ours in a different neighborhood in Hudson Square. So we big fans of what they do. I think this will be complementary.
So as a member of the 100% Affordable Five World Trade Center Coalition, I would happy to see 900 units. I would like to see more affordability in this project. How can we get more affordability?
So we're the respondent to an RFP that was put forward by the city. So I have no idea what the other respondents put forward. One thing that was really interesting to us when we were responding was that it was very specific that we could use no money whatsoever from federal, state, or other city sources. So the city was really specific and said they want all of the sources of that funding to go to other projects to create affordable housing elsewhere. And they wanted all the housing and affordable housing on this site to be created using our dollars, right? So, our response was, how do we create as much housing as possible in a good unit mix that will be appropriate for this area without spending any public dollars? So, I'm not sure if they want to add on to that, but I found interesting as a respondent reading it, that was their goal was to maximize the other dollars, the ones that you're probably talking about, for other projects to make sure more housing was built, which I mean, we own a lot of property in the city and especially in this area. And I thought that was a great idea, like to force us to have money in the housing being built there from just us.
And just to add to that, and part of what we mentioned and what you're discussing is being able to move forward in this project without reliance on subsidy. I think And that's something we hear all the time, right? Everybody wants 100% affordable housing. And in New York City, part of what's really challenging about that is that that relies on a pipeline of funding through HPD that is very scarce. And because it is scarce, it's stretched very thin and there are very, very long timelines. So part of what I think is exciting about this project and part of what I've mentioned was identified in the mayor's housing plan. If you haven't read it, we'll take a look at it. And this concept of utilizing city-owned property, especially in creative ways when we can, to maximize housing in an effort to, contribute as much housing as we can, and without reliance on that public subsidy.
So does that imply that there's funds from this project that could go to affordable housing elsewhere in the city?
No.
That's not.
No, we're in that context, we're talking about other HPD funding that's going elsewhere, but what's being generated as part of this project is contained within this project in the affordable housing and in open space upgrades and the other amenities that we're discussing.
Diana, can you remind me if the city is selling the land to the developer or is it a lease?
It is a sale.
Talk a little, so I'm sorry to ask this and I don't mean to be rude, but we're here today I don't sense anything new, so.
Yeah,
with all due respect, so.
That's a great question. And part of what, well, we love visiting you all. We know part of what's important to us in this project is engaging early. And this is an interesting thing that comes up along the way because everyone wants to see the design. They're eager for us to have all of the answers. And what we are trying to do and what we did in engaging even before the release of the RFP is in making sure that we make these stops along the way to say, and the last time that we had a public meeting or that we were here, it was before the RFP. So this is our moment to come into GFP as the developer, so you get to know them. They and their design team get to hear directly from you. And so it's on the slide, but we may not have mentioned it explicitly, what's coming up in the engagement process and when those big moments are, and when you all will have an opportunity to apply. So this is an informational stopover. When we come back in the fall, that will be with more design details, being able to get a lot of the out of the nitty-gritty design stuff that folks are eager to know and many things that we don't know yet. And that's also when we're preparing to enter draft scoping and getting into that environment.
So we're looking for 3 months from today, more or less, from hearing you in September, you'll have design drawings to show. I mean, you obviously have design drawings, we saw them in December. The public community might list it in some way when they saw the large scale building, and that's where all this began. This was in December. So clearly there are designs, but the sharing this with the public will happen so he's in the fall in September.
In the fall after you return from your summer break.
Okay, excellent. So we'll be purchasing that then. That was, I guess this is something that we talked about in the along with the rest of the designs are, there's always this description of 40,000 square feet of public amenity, public realm. Just give us where's land, this is carved out of the actual physical plot that you're gonna have open space to ground floor level, or you use something. I mean, how is that now?
Yeah, it's all on the site. So our response said that we would provide approximately 25,000 square feet of contiguous open space. So it's a pretty sizable, what hopefully, we're gonna work really hard to make it a great park. And then there's another approximately 15,000 square feet that's around the site by pushing the building back and creating much wider sidewalks for landscaped areas. And, we have a neighbor in Southbridge Towers and there's land between the building. And so we're going to improve that and get hopefully something that people will enjoy.
And then the other piece of that is also hearing about the gym and recreation center, whatever you call it. You just call it a publicly accessible recreation center. I mean, does that just translate into, I could go in, but I have to pay for it once I, is that a fair?
So we are in
Special
the process of finding a partner to operate that facility. There's a lot of organizations, some for-profit, some not-for-profit, that are, to do a really good job, and I'm sure you think of all the ones that we've been thinking about and meeting with and interviewing, just try to find the right partner for it. So-
Actually, I actually don't know who that would be. Is that like Chelsea Pier? I mean, who would the other?
Well, Chelsea Piers is still highly unlikely, given that they're opening facility.
Right.
But they're, I don't want to name names, because I don't want to like have a rumor all of a sudden start,
Okay.
but if you think about other, throughout the city, other community organizations or for-profits that operate recreation facilities, we're interviewing them and trying to figure out how to,
Like the YMCA?
that would be an appropriate group to interview to see how they would provide.
I just was trying to understand.
But the goal for us is to try to come up with a facility that people can access. And there are some organizations out there that have really some pricing plans, so that it does not cost something for some groups and cost more for others. And look, we're trying to listen and try to figure out what the best thing is for the site. If I knew what it was, I would tell you right now.
I just was trying to understand it. I think the public generally, these phrases are sometimes used publicly, especially recreation, they show what exactly was that translate as. That's very helpful. I think, you know, you've heard from this board now for a long time. Especially you know, what they're looking for, what we're looking for in terms of affordability. I mean, this, we've been here forever, and no one's going to be satisfied with the answers you give, I'm sure, not everybody. Okay, and I'm getting a big thing, like, yes, and, correct.
Wait, are you looking past
Give
notes
me-
around that? What was up? Come on.
Cheat
sheet.
I mean, Richard, brought up Five World Trade Center, and I'm thinking that in this conversation, that was Educational Alliance, AKA Manny Cantor, and that would have been a community. It sounds like something like that. There's nothing bad. I was just saying. Alice seems very, very curious. So I was just trying to figure out.
A lot of things, you know, there's not much, public amenities are amounting to 40,000 square feet of 25 of, you know, outdoor space, we hope, and that's not that much. You just want to know what we're talking about, so we don't have infinite public amenities, and sort of just people need to define that, because there's something else that we're looking at, if someone shows that. Anyway, thank you for that information. We had,
I'm John Farrar, former president of Sunbridge Towers, former member of the board also here. I have a number of concerns. I mean, one you mentioned, how you're going to be eliminating the shadows that this project is going to put on the community. I find that impossible because you're right up against 90 Gold Street with this monster building. The other concern I have, I don't know if you've taken into consideration, the New York Presbyterian Hospital right now is overcrowded. You go to the emergency room, you're there for at least 6 to 10 hours. They're adding all these people into our community now that are going to use that service. And the lack of parking. You're not going to have parking, which means our garage is going to be jam-packed. You can never get out of the garage. These are just a number of problems that I see with this development. It's going to be a problem for us. So, you know, we hear affordable housing all the time. Let's be honest with you, most of the time affordable housing isn't affordable. They call it affordable housing because it sounds good. But for an average teacher working, you can afford that affordable housing with the formulas that exist today. So, you know, I like hearing affordable housing. I wish there was more than what we're talking about. But who is it going to be affordable for? And that's the concern.
Thank you. Thank you. What, did you have a question on that?
I see 3,700 new units, and I understand there must be some projection out from that to quantify it in terms of people. It's not 1-for-1, and you said it's a mix of. So does that mean there are going to be 6,000 people there or 9,000 people there?
That's not
I mean,
something
it's my
that.
corner, right? So are you?
It's your corner, what?
That is my corner. That's where I live. So
Okay.
will there
Where do you
be,
live?
and it's 90 Gold,
90
will there be an additional 6,000 people next door, or? I'm just trying to.
I think we're trying to finalize the unit mix. We'll go into that 3,700, but you're right, there will be a lot of people living in that.
Let me ask you this, so what would the minimum be, I think? your experience, which is, as you indicated, best.
Minimum number of people.
Would be added to the exit.
I don't think this would happen, but I guess there'd be 37. But that's not what's in.
And we also, you guys, EDC perhaps cannot share the FAR, the site that your winner is building.
One, want to acknowledge, this is closely related to your question, so the community board, put in a FOIL request for, the developer's RFP proposal, and some other associated materials, and wanted to make sure to acknowledge that, because I know that you all have been waiting for it. That has some more of the details. The FOIL review process is led by EDC Legals. And as I'm sure you can imagine, involves the review and approval of a lot of individuals and and wanted to make sure to say that process is well underway. We're nearing completion on it. So just for the record, one that will have more, if you're asking about specifically what was in the proposal, that's on its way. And as the actual design continues to be refined, that's when we'll be back in the fall to be able to.
And the FAR is changing as you guys revise this design?
FAR is changing in what context?
As you develop the design, or are your architect designing to one FAR?
You mean your architect when I talk about approach on FAR?
I think that I would say that again, not knowing what any other respondent put into the RFP, but I'd love to see it if someone's provided.
But that's like a basic question. What is the FAR that you're building the site to? And that's not even something that you can get from EDC. And to me, I appreciate you guys sharing and reaching out to the community, and it is really great. But I think the more that we don't get the information, the more that people make, stories up about what it is, where it could be, whatever.
And I think what we're trying to balance here is that while these things are in progress, under the contingency that something changes, the worst thing that we can do, I think, is to give an answer that we don't feel totally confident about. And I think that's ultimately what we're concerned about the road. And so what we're doing here.
I appreciate you bringing it to the FOIL arrangement, and I know you're working hard on, EDC trying to, so do you think that'll happen in the summer prior to the September release of?
So it's me, because I know I want to say when it depends on a lawyer, and that's not me, but with best guess, yes.
Okay, that's, okay, then.
I know, Rich.
So back to affordability, in your RFP or is there a commitment, the average AMI for the affordable units?
All right. So yeah, the 485X and MIH have very specific AMI bands that we will follow. And I don't want to say them because I might say it wrong because there's so many different programs, but they're very specific and we can look them up and try to provide that information to you.
It's okay.
Ellen Frada, 77 Fulton Street in Southwest Towers. And I know I'm just trying to wrap around because there were so many words going around. But there are 2 70-story towers. Wow, you didn't even shy away from that. But it's
I was just listening to the room.
So 2 70-story towers. Now Southbridge is at 28 stories, right? 27 stories, right? And not only is it 100 Gold, we're being infiltrated with 250 Water to 28 Cliff Street. So my little question is, how do you propose not keeping shadow out of Southbridge Towers when we're also going to be affected? It's not only 90 Gold, it's 299. The taller it gets, everyone's going to be affected. Our courtyard is going to be affected. So how do you propose keeping the shadows out?
But I didn't say we were going to keep all shadows out.
Done. It's logic.
Yeah, very difficult.
Got it.
But we said we would try to mitigate those, right? So part of some of the feedback from their neighbors has been talking about, especially like where they live in each of the buildings and what they see now versus what they might see later, trying to design a building that would still deliver what we propose to the city, but, but limit what views are being blocked, what shadows are being created. So, but we're in between a rock and a hard place in the sense that the city, the mayor wants to create as much housing as possible. They created an RFP, which we responded to, which required as much housing to be very much housing to be created. And yet we're also trying to listen to our neighbors. And I understand what your concerns are. I hear you loud and clear, and are trying to do our best to deliver both.
Can I just say one more? Okay, hold on. So I understand what the mayor wants. But what he wants in there, he's really not getting, because the amount of affordability housing that he is getting from any of these projects isn't really amounting to much when you really think of the big thing. And I am no engineer or nothing here. You mentioned you were going to back away from Southbridge. What did you mean by that? What was that sentence he said you're going to back away from Southbridge?
So I think they're gonna design the space that's between the two properties, and there's.
Right, because there's a little space after 100 Gold Street, and then there's the 90 Gold, but there's the fence that's there. So are you pushing further back towards the street? What do you mean by back? Are you coming closer to 90 Gold, or are you pushing back away from 90 Gold?
So a lot of what happens on that side of the property will depend on what Southbridge Towers gives us feedback for. So we've had a lot of meetings with individuals at Southbridge Towers. We met with your board. I think we're scheduled to meet the community at large on June 24th.
Yes.
And we're going to listen. Some of the first things that we heard were put up a wall and don't come on our property. And then some of the things we heard right afterwards were, wait, but maybe we don't want a wall. Maybe we can try to figure out how to put them both together. I don't know what the right answer is, because we haven't had enough feedback from all of the residents
I
there.
understand the frustration Southbridge is going through, and I don't know how they can complete 3 projects
Same period.
in the same period of time. I don't even know how the city is accepting that, but that has nothing to do with you.
But you know what, that's a good question that people bring up a lot, and I'll just try to address that. And I have nothing to do with the other two, we have nothing to do with the other 2 projects, but we have analyzed their timeline, and we believe that our project will begin after theirs is complete, both of those projects. You have to understand how long of a process it is to go through the seeker process, the ULURP process, their process to relocate their agencies. So, I mean, we don't believe that we'll be able to even start our construction until 2030 at the earliest. So I think we think that those projects will be complete. I don't know for sure, because we're not building them, but it sounds like you won't have to deal with them and
So more
us.
or less, and I apologize, so more or less, we'll say 7 to 10 years, Southbridge is going to be inundated with all construction. We'll say 7 to 10 years. Come on.
There is going to be a lot of construction.
Yeah.
In the whole city, and we live in New York City, so.
Yeah.
But it's not.
But if the
The
community
community
itself
is different.
agree,
And we need housing, so.
but we're not getting enough, that's what I mean. It's just what they're giving is hits.
So do we have any online?
Yes, we have 4 speakers online. We'll start with Andrew Bellolio. All the questions and begin speaking. Andrew, can you? Okay, we're moving right along. Tillman Longley. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes, thanks. Can you hear me? Sorry, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. I am here to make a brief statement on behalf of District Leader Mariama James, a lifelong resident of Southbridge Towers. District Leader James's position on the 100 Gold Street proposal is that any development on public land should consist of 100% affordable housing. This contrasts with the proposal's call for mixed income housing and commercial real estate. Additionally, she has deep concerns about the development's effects on local traffic patterns, particularly how they affect access to the hospital complex across the street. Lower Manhattan has become a hospital desert, particularly on the west side up to the 50s, and with only 2 small hospitals on the east side until Bellevue. The congestion on and around Gold Street will make it more difficult for patients and ambulances to reach the hospital, exacerbating an already problematic lack of access to medical facilities across Lower Manhattan. If the development proposal does proceed, District Leader James calls for the maximum possible number of deeply affordable units and for ground level commercial space to include healthcare facilities to alleviate some of the access issues created by the development itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa Trump.
Hello,
Lisa.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. All right, thank you. It's True. My last name is True. So good evening, everyone. I'm Lisa Trube again. I'm the Executive Director of Self Help Realty Group, which is the affordable housing arm of Self Help Community Services. And thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm here to show strong support for GFP's proposal for mixed-use development at 100 Gold Street. Self Help has a long-standing and meaningful relationship with GFP. Brian Steinwurzel, GFP's co-CEO, served as our first chairperson and remains an active and deeply committed member of our board. Over the years, we have come to know Brian and the broader GFP team as partners of integrity with deep expertise and genuine commitment to strengthening New York City communities. So at Self Help, our work is grounded in expanding access to affordable housing, particularly for older adults and low and moderate income New Yorkers. And from that perspective, the GFP proposal for 100 Gold is both timely and significant. The scale of the housing being proposed represents a meaningful and much needed response to the city's housing crisis. GFP's proposal is a well-conceived mixed-use development that goes beyond housing, and the inclusion of substantial new open space and public realm improvements will enhance the day-to-day experience of residents and strengthen the fabric of the neighborhood. We're particularly encouraged by the commitment to an upgraded and expanded older adult center. As an organization that serves older adult New Yorkers every day, we know how essential these spaces are in promoting health, connection, and dignity. So investing in modern, accessible space for older adults is not just a benefit, but it's a necessity for a community that values aging in place. So the project's additional components, including improved facilities for city agencies and community service amenities, further reflect GFP's comprehensive approach to meeting the needs of a growing neighborhood. And in our view, GFP's proposal represents the kind of forward-thinking leadership that Lower Manhattan needs and demonstrates how a trusted partner can advance affordable housing, open space, and long-term community benefits at a meaningful scale. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to MY or MY.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, thanks for this meeting. It's very informative. I guess I live in 90 Gold as well, and have been here over 30 years. I guess never.
Sorry, what is your name?
My name is Mimi. Mimi Yi.
Thank you, Mimi.
You're welcome. So I guess I have a couple of questions and mostly concerns for GFT, the builder. The first is actually with all of the building, how are we going to, or how have, based on their own experience, given that this has not been sketched out at all, supposedly, right? How are we going to mitigate against the dust, the dirt, the rats, all of that, the noise during the building process? And I know that they just actually did some testing around the site. That's been a couple of machines around there. I wanted to know whether or not there was any results from that. And also the final thing is we had a meeting last week with attorneys. Were they GFP attorneys in the community room? So I just wanted to understand, I'm new to the process. I just want to understand, is this the forum?
No, they were Southbridge attorneys.
Oh, they were Southbridge. Thank you. So, so I guess I don't, if someone can talk to that from the building piece of it, the builders, they can answer some of my questions, I would definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, they were, I don't think they were our attorneys. It sounds like they were. Okay, so we have been conducting surveys and borings. The reports are not complete. I asked our team, so they wrote down something for me to say. So the draft findings from the limited environmental borings conducted by Langen, our civil and environmental consultant, did not detect elements out of line with what is customarily found in historic fill throughout the city. Their research into the site's history does not indicate past uses that will produce results diverging from this. And we will share more of the environmental reports once they are ready, and I've been in touch with your board about it as well. As far as our means and methods, we are a very experienced builder throughout New York City. I think we've done a very good job with our neighbors in every project that we built. Our plan is to continue to do an excellent job with how we produce, how we remove the existing 100 gold building and we build the new 100 gold building. And we will use all of the advanced techniques to try to mitigate the concerns that you have. But I understand your concerns, and we have a team that will do everything we can to appropriately follow all of the regulations that New York City has to mitigate these concerns. But I understand.
So is the environmental study, is that the complete environmental study that's going to be coming out that you just mentioned?
No, the boring and the reports that we did, we will complete, they will be completed and then we will share with Southbridge after they're completed.
When are you forecasting the condition?
I don't have an answer to that, but hopefully soon.
I have two more on the thing. Andrew, back to you. Are you able to unmute this time? If not, we'll move on to Paul Woody.
Yeah, hi, good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So yeah, my name is Paul Woody, and I'm here in my capacity as the Chief Real Estate Officer for Project Renewal. I'm here to speak about Project Renewal's connection to GFP and express support for their very exciting 100 Gold Street project. GFP has been our landlord at 200 Varick Street in Hudson Square for about 30 years now. We're one of many nonprofit tenants in that building. They've always been a responsive and conscientious landlord. A few years ago, we entered into a long-term 30-year leasehold condo arrangement with them, and they were very flexible and fair in their negotiations. Brian Steinwurzel was personally involved and is still very involved in our relationship, and we appreciate his partnership. Project Renewal is a social service organization that helps New Yorkers renew their lives with health, homes, and jobs. A big part of what we do is build and manage supportive housing, manage supportive and affordable housing, and GFP has always been supportive of our mission. They were sponsors of our annual gala one year and have provided financial and strategic support on many occasions. The 100 Gold Street project they're proposing is very exciting from an affordable housing perspective and will help alleviate the homeless crisis that we work to address. I look forward to continuing to engage with GFP and Community Board 1 as this important project moves forward. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Paul. Do you have clear hand in the room?
Yeah. Thank you. Good evening, I'm Matthew Clark, Executive Director of the Design Trust for Public Space. I'm here to make a program Design Trust in several ways. We're advocates for the development environment broadly, representing all the groups. We've also been working with the Community Board One for 13 years. And we're also tenants achieved board session. So please express my support for the project. As we would talk about here, the project is before design and realized, but the proposal is clear and good. And this is frankly just before the project. It's definitely strong partnerships in the way we have a section of interest. Bringing this to be launched, capacity significant additional housing, including affordable housing, there's no displacement and access to nearby abundant transportation, and clear community benefits from moving the space with all rail movements. I'm going to continue to follow this project and I will continue to look forward to developments and see how it's doing gets committed to. Maybe more importantly, more personally, my perspective as a tenant of GFP and what I was meant to be personally as an organization. Time and time again, we have truly lost my family and my consumer. I mean that very sincerely. It's one of our toughest moments. They are willing to work with us, see us as a colleague, and help us be successful. And I know this set of values extends far across our portfolio into the many civic organizations that call it as well. I'm grateful to call them a friend of Resign Trust, which GFP represents to me as to New York, the family company that sees so investment as essential. And please offer it.
Thank you. And your affiliation was as a tenant of GFP, or are you also representing the institution?
My position here as a tenant of GFP, but I also know that our office is located.
Got it. Thank you, Matt. Do we have anyone else for? Yeah, we will call.
So, is he not for us? Well, Potter Allerton, are you, the council members, land use expert? Unfortunately, we still didn't get to him on the earlier project. I don't know if he should come on the boat or if he's still around, but let's just give him a minute.
Connor, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yes. Sorry, we didn't, I mean, if your hand wasn't raised, we don't catch you on the screen.
That's all right. Yeah, is it okay if I speak now?
Please.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
and I know it's been a long meeting, but I just wanted to be able to lend my just brief comments on the previous item, the Independence Plaza proposed modification. I think first I'll just reiterate that the council member is opposed to the plan as proposed. And we're continuing to prioritize it as as a serious land use issue within our district. Now that environmental review is underway, we'll keep a close eye on it, starting with diving into the draft scope of work as you all have done. But on top of that, I'll just reiterate that we believe there is an argument to be made for why this application has to go through a more significant review process, including the council, and that has to do with the specifics of the special permit, as well as some of the language within the zoning resolution on what triggers certain findings, as well as what triggers a full council review. So happy to, if anyone wants more information about that, or more information about the special permit and the details or specifics of the application and what's exactly being proposed, we're happy to help clear some of that up or explain anything if there's any outstanding questions about what exactly is happening. But in the meantime, I just want to cover quickly. There's a couple of topics within the scope that I think are worth raising as concerns for further review or any review that have been skipped. I believe some of this is covered in your proposed resolution, but just quickly, obviously socioeconomic conditions is a big one. We know that a project like this can have serious impact on rents in the area, on displacement, and while the guidelines of the of SEQR, of the Environmental Quality Review, are pretty weak in terms of how to assess displacement, indirect and direct, we think it's crucial that this be adequately analyzed. And this is all in the nature, or sort of the kind of overarching argument here is that SEQR and the guidelines are just that, they're guidelines. They're not maximum requirements for analysis, and technically anything can be assessed as part of this process. It just has to be adequate under the eyes of the City Planning Commission to be able to move forward in the application. But I think that, you know, as a community, it's totally worth asking for whatever assessment you think is warranted in an application like this. So when we talk about displacement and socioeconomic conditions and impact there, it doesn't have to be exactly how it's defined in the seeker guidelines. And so we think that that has to be a priority within the EIS. This draft scope of work does not include indirect residential displacement, and we think that's a huge issue. Obviously, indirect displacement is hard to measure, but something like this at this scale and in this kind of community, we believe would most certainly impact indirectly residential security, affordability, and other things that lead to displacement. Community facilities is another big one, particularly because this has been discussed on the senior center. We think that the senior center is a community resource that has been overlooked in the scope of work and is something that has to be adequately assessed as it will be undoubtedly impacted by this new building in construction and also just afterward. So we want to highlight that as a main potential harmful impact of the project. They do admit to covering a lot of topics, including shadows, open space, architectural resources like the townhouses. So we still have to just wait and see, whether the analysis that they do conduct.
Yes, he had said that, and I'm sorry for some people, and understandably, it wasn't clear that the council members, land use person was waiting for the last hour. He didn't get heard the first round because we overlooked it, so we allowed him.
We're about one.
No,
Like, that makes no sense
So,
to me.
Connor is almost done, but he has
Said
to
in the
go.
beginning, you didn't hear.
So he is commenting on the previous application. Sorry for that, sort of intercept there, but go ahead. I think it was almost done. Or not.
Yeah, I can move quickly. The last couple of things are just sewer impacts. Obviously, this is a massive project, and the impacts to the sewer system is undoubtedly going to be severe. The fact that it's assumed or projected that it'll be under 1,000 units actually works in the favor of the project to miss a lot of thresholds for analysis. So I think it's worth including analysis on topics that are triggered by a 1,000 dwelling unit threshold, because this is quite close and there's a good chance it will surpass that amount of new units. And then things like resiliency being built, which is not adequately assessed within seeker, but this is a project being built within the floodplain, building so many new units within what we know is a very, very vulnerable area is sort of something that has to be assessed. Construction impacts obviously are going to be massive to existing residents. And then there's a required narrative on effects on disadvantaged communities, and I think there's an argument to be made for a lot of people within Independence Plaza as being seniors on fixed incomes and on vouchers that they meet the criteria of communities that are disadvantaged and would be disproportionately impacted by a project like this. So that's it. I think I just want to reiterate the council members' stance on the project and that we want to be a resource to the community board and the community. So thank you for letting me speak.
Thanks, yeah. Connor, do you have anything you want to add on 100 Gold Street, flipping back to the application in front of us? Anything else?
Yeah, I think that it's similar in that it's a massive project. I think that the council member is disappointed that this publicly owned.
We lost.
Connor, we can't hear you. Can you hear us?
Wow.
Well, you're still online, so maybe Connor.
Connor, can you hear us? Wait, for the first project, I don't know what the procedures, but since we have already voted, I propose sending you a draft of our resolution
to honor, because I believe a lot of the issues that we brought up are covered in this resolution that we.
And whatever it is that we can add as an amendment of the full board to, for approval. So I think that's what we should do. So, you know, even if it's not already, not document, I think quite a few were covered. Back to, I didn't know if it's coming back, but it wasn't great to be we're disappointed, but it's something we don't know. Yeah, I just guess to that question, are there other things you want to tell the community that you're doing for the community? We've already given you a long list of community wants and asks. I'm sure it's hoped you've seen in there's one particular resolution that comes to mind, right? That
Yeah,
identifies
you
the
did it
long
during the RFP process, right?
right,
Yeah.
and are any of those asks being, you know, being answered?
I mean, I can't remember them all.
Well, you know,
Look, I think what we did, and we spoke to, the community board, this committee, we tried to, have this conversation, then you referred us to that document, and we tried to incorporate as much of what we could into our response, and we were the winner. So hopefully, the EDC felt good about what we incorporated, and I mean, we're gonna do our best to try to incorporate much as possible. And we remain available to get feedback. And I know that you all want to see what the design is, and I'm sure that there will be a lot of feedback once we actually release it, and we'll listen.
yeah, I mean, that's a different whole, I mean, people will be fascinated to see the really stuff. But I guess more to the point is, you know, the comments about the hospital, the need for more, you know, more space, or the, you know, that sort of thing, or the need for recreation space along these sides. I mean, these are major things that will really need to be helped. And so where do you come in, if at all, to answer to those asks, which were reasonable?
So as far as the hospital goes, they were one of the first groups we reached out to. We've been in touch with them. We've been trying to listen. I think if there's a way to work together, we remain open to it. I think they have their own set of plans and goals on their site, and yeah, I think they can speak to those. I will say that we are working on our design to orient a lot of the traffic away from the hospital, so that we're conscientious about you know, what goes on there for them. And so we're working hard on that to achieve that goal of not causing issues on.
But in terms of an increase in capacity or budgeting something in the development scheme that allows for that, that's not part of it.
Our response is for this site, only the hospital, how do I say this? The hospital was interested in their site when they spoke with us.
Okay. Well.
Do you have anything? Any final comments from online? Not seeing any raised hands. Not possibly resolution on this, right?
There's no resolution on this. I mean, there's not much to, I mean, there's something really good to work with here.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for the information. We look forward to working with you and seeing the plan.
Thanks for having us. Yeah. In a bigger room.
Yeah, I expect.
It's 38. What next?
How's it going?